Panasonic GH6, Panasonic CX10, completely different types of cameras. This is a very small format, a small sensor camcorder format, and this is a mirrorless micro four thirds. And on this camera, I have a 12 to 35 f2.8. This is the first version of this lens. In this video, I'm going to do a side-by-side test footage comparison in 3 different scenarios. I'll do one exterior in really bright sunlight. I'll do one with a window indoors so you can see the dynamic range. And then I'll test a very low light situation with both of these on their ideal settings for each scenario. I'm trying to match as closely as possible all the other Panasonic settings so you could see what they would look like if you're maybe trying to intercut these cameras. On the Panasonic CX10, I'm shooting at 4K 422 long GOP 150 megabits. And then on the GH6, you have to, since this can go up to 5K, pretty large file sizes as well, I'm choosing a smaller file size. I'm still shooting 422 10-bit, but it's 4K 24p long GOP, 150 megabits. So the bit rate are identical to these cameras. It might be identical codecs in different cameras, but because of the sensors, the processing, and all that stuff, it should show different results. But we'll see. I'm gonna test these out. What I have going on here is I'm shooting at 422 10-bit 150 megabits. This is 24p, and I have both cameras at their native white balance, daylight white balance, 5600. On the CX10, I have a 1/16 ND filter thrown on, and I'm shooting at I think all the way open. Let me see what f-stop I'm shooting at. Yeah, my f-stop is all the way open. On the GH6, I have a ND filter screwed on. It's an ND4. Because I'm using high dynamic range mode on the GH6, it's automatically ISO 800. So I had to stop the f-stop down significantly. So it's at f11. Not ideal, but this is f11 on the GH6 with an ND4. And on the CX10, it's wide open. I guess that's at 1.8. Shooting with a 1/16 ND filter. I'm shooting a shaded object right there, that piece of fruit, that orange fruit. And I tried to match focal lengths. It's really hard to tell if I match focal lengths, but I'm zoomed all the way in on the GH6's 12 to 35, so this is 35, or no, it's closer to a 70. This is closer to a 70 millimeter full frame equivalent. And on the CX10, I can't really tell what my focal equivalent is, but I tried to match it a little bit. Oh, it's kind of wider. Let me zoom out more. Both of the cameras are on autofocus, and they're both on the Cine D picture profile. The CX10 has the Cine D version 1. The GH6 has the Cine D version 2. And on the GH6 right now, I'm at an f9 f-stop with an ND4 on. And on the CX10, I'm probably at it stopped down. I'm at an ND 1/4, but then I believe it's, let me see what I'm at a 3.2, f3.2 with iris. I'm indoors now, facing, shooting a plant, but just shooting a messy room. And I have the window open, and there's some sunlight peeking out. That's very hot. That is probably, I don't know how many stops hotter than inside. So you can see the highlight roll-offs, and you can see how what the dynamic range is. I'm at an f6.3 on the GH6, but I still have the ND4 on. And with the CX10, there's no ND filters on, and it's at an f2.8. The reason why I still have the ND4 on the GH6 is because I'm shooting in the GH6's high dynamic range mode, and that already caps the ISO to 800. That's the lowest I can make the ISO. Now I am in very, very low light. with the CX10, the iris is all the way open, but I'm zoomed out all the way. So this is all the way open at the 1.8, and I'm at 12 dBs of gain. 12 dBs, I think, is fairly clean, but you might see some grain in the image. On the GH6, I'm shooting at 2.8. I removed the ND filter, and this is ISO 800. Here's where the advantage of the GH6 comes into play, and the CX10 just does not compete with a Micro Four Thirds camera. I'm just noticing the color differences in low light, the contrast differences. Yeah, to me, just my eye looking at the viewfinders or the LCD screens on both cameras doesn't look like I can intercut these cameras very well in low light. I would have to do a lot of color grading to match these. But now I'm gonna push these cameras as far as their ISOs can go. So let's do the CX10 first. So the CX10, I'm already at a 1.8, the widest the aperture can go. And now I'm just gonna bump up the gain as high as the camera can go. This is 12 dBs, 15, 18, 22, 26, 29, 30. This is 30 dBs of gain. This is as sensitive as a CX10 can get. The only way I could get this more sensitive is if I lower the shutter speed, but I don't think I could even do that in this video mode. Now the GH6. The GH6, I'm already stuck at an f2.8 because the lens, that's what the lens is, f2.8. But now I'm going to ramp up the ISO significantly. So this is at a ISO 800. This is ISO 1600. This is ISO 3200. ISO 6400. I don't think it would ever go to 6400 on the GH6. 3200 is probably the most I would ever go. But now let's go to 12800. This is 12,800 ISO, the max it can go that I set this camera to. Just judging off of the LCD screens, I'm going to now lower the ISOs and the gains to something where I think is reasonable in low light for these cameras. So on the GH6, I'm going to go down to 3200. 3200 is what I think is a reasonable, workable, kind of professional ISO I could use. And on the CX10, let me go down to about 21. I don't think I would go past 21. So this is 21 dBs again, and the ISO 3200 on the GH6.